So in 5, 4, 3, 2. I'm Spencer.
And I'm Justin.
And this is The Itch. Week of 8/16/2014. Unless the time travelers have proved me wrong.
Right. Take me with you.
And how are you doing, buddy?
I am tired. That is a recurring theme. I will always be tired.
Justin the tired.
Yeah, just in the tired. I'm tired of this bullshit.
Well, this is going to be an interesting week. Gamescom happened this week.
Yeah, and that was...
So we're going to... Yeah, it's going to be a kind of heavy in the news going towards video games this week.
Yeah.
Obviously. Not a whole lot of like real news outside of game releases, but that's okay. We're going to start off this week with the notable releases. Little bit weak. PS4 has a thing called PT. Do you know what that was?
Yeah,
by the way?
I do. And I actually want to get you to play it.
Okay.
I think you'll actually enjoy it.
And I'm going to go in a little bit later as to what that actually was. This is going to be a spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But I already kind of researched it, to be honst.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of ruined it. I haven't actually played it, so
oh yeah,
it might be worth a playthrough.
Yeah, I ended up. I watched a playthrough. Unfortunately.
Gotcha.
That's because I didn't know it was actually on the PlayStation Network.
Oh.
And it's actually, you can get it for PC as well. You go to the Gamescom website, you can pick it up.
Oh, okay. I'll do that.
Yeah.
And then there's the Surgeon Simulator Anniversary Edition, I'm sure.
Ho ho come.
Ho ho come. The PS3. No notable releases for Xbox One, by the way.
That
kind of weird.
Sucks for them.
Risen 3 is coming out for the older generation.
I heard that was...
I haven't really heard anything about it. Yeah, you can.
Absolute garbage. I heard it was shit.
Yeah, just probably. I haven't really heard much about it.
Yeah.
Akiba's Trip, Undead and Undressed. Whoa. Not sure what the deal is with that.
Whatever your preferences are.
I like Akiba with her clothes on.
Right?
I don't know.
And alive.
Yeah. And then for Xbox 360 is World of Tanks, which that's weird. I thought that was a free MMO. Maybe it's still that, but on a 360.
I don't know if Microsoft really does that. They normally don't do a free-to-play setup.
Yeah, but I mean, I have played World of Tanks on the PC.
Oh, really?
And it was a free-to-play MMO. Which
that was like many moons ago, right? When they released that?
Yeah, at least 12, probably more like in the hundreds of moons.
12, 100, around that range.
Some amount of moons. And then obviously Risen 3 as well. The other ones had releases. I kind of gave up on talking about PC releases because if you go on Steam, there's like 20 a day. Yeah. So,
I mean, like others, like what? I guess I could talk about a notable release that I actually liked.
Oh, okay, go for it.
Okay, so you heard of Broforce, right?
Sure, yeah.
So you know about like Expendables and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They actually had Sylvester Stallone's character from the Expendables.
Really?
And apparently he was a big fan of Broforce. So he's like, yeah, I'll be in.
I'll do it, Adrian.
I'll do it. Wait, what was that? So they ended up putting his character in. I forgot his name. And I actually saw Expendables 3 last night.
How was it?
It was actually pretty good. Certain characters didn't get spotlight as much as we wish, but some of the newer cast members were pretty funny. Like Antonio Banderas stole the show, and so did
he was in the Expendables.
Yeah.
Isn't this a show? Isn't that a movie about like action heroes?
Yeah.
Is he
you
reprising?
Seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
You're not a red-blooded American. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, it was all about just shooting stuff.
I thought did he reprise his role as Zorro? Like, what action role did he play?
He was in what's it called, Desperado.
Okay.
It was a pretty good action movie.
Okay.
And he actually a lot of like the creative like juices from that movie were put into like other like games. If you could
really?
Like for instance, Devil May Cry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see it.
Like some of the concepts for it. So it was just about being stylish. But something else that we wanted to kind of touch on that we missed last show,
right?
That I really didn't have as much ammo. Like I really wanted to talk about it, but I didn't really know like the whole story.
Sure.
Was the Resident Evil remake remake.
Right.
Pretty much, for those who don't know, Resident Evil was a survival horror game. No, you know that.
Little trivia.
Right?
What's it called in Japan?
Biohazard.
Very good.
Yeah. And then, I don't know what the remake's called. Biohazard Remake.
Rimaku.
Right? Rebuff. Something like that. I'm not sure. But, so they, whatever, they went ahead and they're like, hey, we're going to do an HD remix, essentially, of the Resident Evil remake. And honestly speaking, that's probably the best old school Resident Evil. I mean, in my opinion, next to Resident Evil 3, just for Nemesis and the dodge system, it was nice.
Resident Evil, the first one, is the one where you start and there's like fire around you and dogs, right?
No.
Was that two?
Well, it's not dogs around you. It's actually zombies.
Oh, okay. It was zombies, but there's fire around. Like there's like a car crash or something like that. Okay.
That was actually, now that I think about it, that was my first PlayStation game ever.
Oh.
Yeah. Memory lane. Getting bit by zombies, not knowing how to walk. I'm like, I'm hitting left and he's turning. You know. Like,
speaking of World of Tanks.
Segue. No, absolutely. I was freaking like, I had no idea what was going on. But anyway, apparently there was a lot of problems with some people. Like they were like, oh man, Cashcom, because that's one of their names now. Cashcom is just trying to get more money out of me. I don't think people understand the the gravitas of how good Resident Evil Remake was. And it is being released HD.
Released for the GameCube, right?
Yeah, it was released on the GameCube like back in early 2000, and then now it's being re-released for like PlayStation 4. I believe Xbox One is on there, if I remember correctly, and like PlayStation 3, Xbox 360. The thing I think that I'm more like aggravated about is the kind of sense of entitlement with some like gamers. Like they feel like, oh, just give me a new Resident Evil. It doesn't always like work that way. Like I would love for new Resident Evil. But look at 5. And
I was gonna say, you really want one of those new ones?
Yeah, no one wants that. They want to go back to survival horror. Sometimes even they need a little bit of a way to test the waters to see if that's more their angle.
I think that's a good idea. If they find out, wow, this survival horror game that we stopped making is really picking up steam, like we should probably try to do this again.
This franchise that we just ran into the ground, I think it's going somewhere. If they can revive it, that's probably the best way, because they want to go back to their roots. Honestly, they want to see from a profit standpoint, hey, is this worth it? And I think that's actually a good idea. And plus, I mean, who isn't going to get it? Who loves Resident Evil? Like, I'm going to get it. I've never even played that one. I only played the original, and that one's way scarier.
Well, and the sad part is, when I think of Resident Evil 6, which is where the series has gone, all I think about is that the 6 looks like a giraffe getting fellatio. Right?
Welcome to the internet. Welcome to the internet.
But,
I had no idea.
I have no idea how the game is played, how any of that works. I just know that that's what the 6 looks like.
Well, I've actually beaten. I beat 2. I watched my brother beat 3. I pretty much beat 1. I just count it. And I beat 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
All on their hardest difficulties. Like I played them over and over and over. And 6 and 5 are the most unmemorable things.
It's just like action shooter.
Well, I mean, there's like, okay, so for 5, it's just literally just plays Chris and Sheva throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
I don't remember the middle point parts of the game at all. How did I get here? All I know is there was, all right, we start off with me, there's the infection, and then we're fighting Wesker. I'm just like, okay, what the fuck? And then with 6, the only person's storyline I really remember is Chris and Pierce. That's it. Like, okay, Leon somewhat, but mainly Chris and Pierce. Because, well, I did Chris's and Pierce's with my brother. And, it was just like bro moments. So we were like slapping high fives. Yeah, got your back. Whatever, all that mess. But with I played Leon and Helena's with a friend of mine's, Matt. and he just kept dying. And I only remember the hard parts of that.
Yeah.
You know, the quick time event heavy moments. Because he's like, I pressed the button. No, you didn't. You did.
Are they still doing quick time events in these things?
Yeah, in 6 they are.
See, that's the thing. That was the thing I wanted from... Well, I guess, and granted, it was the last generation because now we're on PS4 and Xbox One.
Yeah, that's current, yeah.
But that was the one thing I wanted from that generation to go away. It was
Yeah.
quick time events. I'm so tired of those.
You can do them right, and I think Resident Evil 4 did them perfectly.
Yeah.
They were done right. I mean, they didn't coin them. I think it was...
Shenmue.
Yeah, Shenmue did.
I believe.
And...
Dreamcast, by the way.
Back in the day. But, you know, there were hints of it in, like, Resident Evil 3. You had the dodge button that you could use to avoid Nemesis, zombies even, dogs, hunters. You know, if you're getting attacked, you could be like, shoo, and go out the way. So it's nice. But when you go to 4, it was the perfect balance, especially like you played it, right?
Resident Evil 4?
Yeah.
I dabbled.
Well, the
I dabbled with a shotgun.
the Krauser fight, which everyone pretty much remembers, was the most like pivotal. Like, oh man, this quick time events are awesome. And then you get games like God of War, where you don't have to use a quick time event to kill a monster, but it makes it easier. So you are mashing circle just to rip the guy's head off, and it's just like it gets redundant after a while.
Right, absolutely.
So. But that's it.
We'll have to pick it up. Show Capcom that that's what we want.
I want it.
Next up, there's a Cube sequel announced. Cube. I have it on here as Cube 2 because I don't know how to type. It's supposed to be Cube Squared.
Oh, snaps.
It headed for the PS4.
You gotta get the little arrow thing. Yeah.
Oh.
Shift 6, man.
Shift 6? Okay.
I don't know if it actually works.
Well, and the only reason I like talking about the game, I wouldn't normally care about this, but the reason that it's interesting is that it will be using the Project Morpheus headset on the PS4.
I am not well versed in that. Can you break that down?
Virtual reality.
Oh, snaps. That's our Oculus Rift?
Oculus Rift. I think Sony has its own thing they're trying to build for it. But I have actually used Oculus Rift. One of my friends actually has one right now, and I've played around with it.
So after you threw up, what happened?
Oh my god! Well, yeah. The thing is, you still use a controller.
Mm-hmm.
So I was using a wired 360 controller.
Yeah.
And you still move around in with your right stick, just like a first-person shooter. You can change the view.
Okay.
The problem is that you don't normally think about your head's not turning, but the view is turning.
You're not doing what
you will get sick. You will get sick out of your mind.
You don't even know where you are.
Oh.
You'll be like, what?
Yeah, so the first game I played was fun, and I didn't really have to do anything with that. But as soon as I went on a racetrack, and you kind of wanted to turn and look around, and you naturally moved that other stick, I almost puked. It was so intense. But it was a lot of fun. It was interesting.
After the sickness.
Yeah.
After I recovered.
After the projectile vomiting, it really picked up. But no, I think it's very exciting and different. I think we're in for a real treat.
Yeah, I've never actually used one of those. I honestly figured they were gimmick tools, like, motion controls.
Could still be. But it could,
Yeah, if they do it right, I wouldn't mind playing Amnesia with an Oculus Rift instead. Because I'd be like, just all my shit on the floor. Like,
oh yeah, the opportunity for those like adventure style like Myst games with an Oculus Rift would be mind blowing.
Way more interesting because then you can like really dissect the environment. And be like, oh hey, I'll look wherever I want. And
I think that would be. I'm so excited to see where that goes with that. Next up is the BioWare reveal for their little game called Shadow Realms. Were you guys let down about this? Have you heard about it?
Yeah, and to be honest, it looked like Dragon Age 2's freaking battle system. Like, I was just like, okay, you just mash a lot of buttons. Like, I respect Dragon Age, but I mean, Dragon Age 2, let's not deny what it actually was.
Yes. So, yeah, the new action RPG. Multiplayer is 4 versus 1. One person is the Shadow Lord. Oh, how many times have we heard this?
One other time, as far as I know, that is the...
Evolve?
Evolve.
What about Fable? The new Fable they're coming out with?
I actually did not look too much on that. I hate Fable.
Yeah, I hate it too. Thank you. Why am I the only person who says this game is bullshit for like the last console generation?
Yeah,
I hated it.
2 and 3 were terrible. The first one was awesome just because it was like I didn't have expectations. That's why I was like,
I had tons of expectations.
Yeah,
and I think Fable 1, while it was an okay game, didn't live up to any of the expectations.
Well, see, the thing is Peter Molyneux was like, oh, you know what? It's going to have this. It's going to do this. Your dog's going to do this. And it's just like, when the game finally comes out, wow, you gave me, like, the rough draft of everything,
Yeah, well, Fable 3 turned into, like, World of Warcraft without the multiplayer part of it, which is what nobody wanted. But yeah, BioWare's doing the Shadow Realms game. It's 4 versus 1, which is basically the new Fable that's coming out that was already announced.
Yeah.
So I'm really... I'm standing by it. I do not think BioWare is going in a great direction as a company.
I'm not a fan of that. I still think they're going in a good direction because, Dragon Age 3 looks amazing.
Inquisition? I do have a news story about that. The Dragon Age Keep system. Are you familiar?
As far as I know, it's the same thing as with Mass Effect, in which... Except, I think it was only for PlayStation users. Like, you could just, like, answer a couple of questions, and then they give you your thing.
I think that's brilliant.
I think it sucks.
What?
Because, okay, all right, and I'm not trying to, like, stomp on you or nothing.
No,
I just think it's awful because... Stomp away, I like that. I just think it's awful because, think about it. All right, if you have someone who's never played Dragon Age...
Sure.
They're jumping into the world. They want to figure out what's happening. The weight of certain actions, certain things, just don't hit people as well as they would someone who's played the first 2. If they just went into the keep system. I get what they're doing. It is, technically speaking, the key word for last generation, and it seems like this generation, is accessibility.
Okay.
They want everyone to get in on it, and it maximizes profits. They just want more people to play their game.
Right.
I understand that. What I don't really like is from a game designer standpoint. Let's look at Dragon Age 2. While I hated the battle system occasionally, I did like the story. It was a bunch of in-house fighting, and it was like it was great. And at the culmination of it, your character's name is Hawk, or her name, whoever you choose. It's up to you. And that person isn't really mentioned. Like, you don't really hear too much about him. The newest trailer that they put out shows Hawk in there, and I flipped. I went nuts. I was like, oh my God! And the thing is, though, the problem with that is that someone who's on this system doesn't even know why I'm so hyped.
Yeah.
Because
it's like when we just watched that Warcraft trailer.
Exactly. Yeah. We just got done watching a Warcraft trailer, and I have no idea what's going on. I respect the game. Don't know what's going on.
It's like a Darth Vader reveals he's Luke Skywalker's dad. You're like, whoa, who's Darth Vader?
All right. Oh, dude. Maybe they're going to be friends. You just have a completely different, outlook on it. And I just don't... I get what they're doing. I just don't think it's, the best option. I wish, if anything, it was an interactive, super interactive movie, where you got to make every single little choice. So... to some extent, you're being brought into the game. But whatever. It's a system.
I think it's interesting. Now we're getting to the part where we reveal what that trailer was. The PT, right?
Yeah.
Stood for?
Playable teaser.
Playable teaser. Mm-hmm. Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro. I kept hearing about this all week as they're teaming up for something. Grr. Turns out they're making Silent Hills, which will be, I guess, the next generation of the Silent Hill franchise.
Yup.
And Hideo Kojima, I'm never going to pronounce that right, but Hideo Kojima, who obviously is famous for the Metal Gear Solid series.
Yeah. Also worked on Lords of Shadows, Castlevania.
Hideo Kojima did?
Yeah, I believe his team did, and him directly to some extent. Yeah. That was, the big thing about it. They're like, oh my gosh, Kojima!
Yeah.
But...
he wants players to shit their pants.
Literally.
He constantly joked about having them shit their pants.
Right. Tissue paper.
You should just take the medication Ally, and I'm sure
they'll be fine.
Yeah. But wait, have you ever played Silent Hill? Are you into that series?
Yes, I have.
That's the one with the big cone man, right, with the head.
Pyramid Head. Yeah.
Pyramid Head.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about SNL skits.
Yeah. Man, you throwbacks.
I'm an old soul.
Okay, so yeah, I've never beaten a single Silent Hill, but I have played 2, which is my favorite. I played 3, and The Room honestly scared me more than I thought it would. Silent Hill 4, The Room. Like, I think I still have that on Xbox.
Yeah.
Or wait, no. Maybe. Anyway, was it Xbox? I don't remember. Anyway, regardless, that franchise has always been near and dear to me because me and my brother, you know, a lot of times we always used to play games together, and he loved getting scared, and I was not so much. I was like, I could do without. And while Resident Evil was more my pace,
yeah,
you know, scary but realistic scary. Silent Hill just says fuck you, and hey, by the way, you're hallucinating, and all this shit that's happening around you is fucking scary. It's like borderline Eternal Darkness.
Yeah.
In some instances, and you're just like, holy crap, what's going on? And especially if you look at the teaser for Silent Hills, like, you've seen, right, some of it?
Some of it, yeah, not a whole.
Straight up hallucinations, straight up loops. All the crazy
is that
stuff.
what the series is supposed to be? Is hallucinations, or is
it's more? It's a psychological horror game.
Gotcha.
In that sense. Like, there's was it Silent Hill 4, The Room? There's a part where you walk into this room and this girl that you're supposed to be protecting, her fucking face is in the room, and her eyes follow you wherever you go. It's just a huge head.
Wow.
Like, I'll show you the screenshot. It's creepy.
Yeah.
And it just follows you around. And I don't remember if it can eat you or not. Like, that was the one that my brother didn't beat because he got freaked out then. He's like, okay, I'm done. It's scary, man.
Done, bro.
Because you're in this room and it gets like, you know, essentially the entire room, hotel really, is possessed. And all these ghosts and all that stuff come out. You start to see bloody footsteps with no person making them. It's weird stuff.
Well, as far as that psychological stuff, I'm sure Hideo Kojima could really pull it off. And I guess Guillermo del Toro, who, for people who don't know, he's like Hellboy.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth is probably the biggest influence that can affect this one.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Honestly, I didn't like that movie. Everyone loves that movie, and I thought it was going to be more of a fairy tale, but it turns out it was like there were only like, I counted it, there were only like 3 or 4 real segments where it was a fairy tale. The rest of it was that like Spanish leader guy that was just killing everybody.
Yeah.
Most of it was just him like being really like a real dick to everybody. And it was,
yeah.
I enjoyed the parts that were a fairy tale. And I was just hoping for more, but it didn't really give me that.
Reminds me of I took one of my best friend's sisters to see Sweeney Todd because she was a huge Johnny Depp fan. She's little, tiny. She's like, Johnny Depp. Yeah, well, then you come to realize Johnny Depp is freaking butchering everybody in the movie, and I'm like, cover your eyes. It's kind of the same thing. Like, you're just like, what the fuck? But I have high hopes for this game. I expect it to be good.
I think it will be. So recently, Crytek has come under a lot of fire. They make the Crysis series. I think do they make Far Cry? Didn't they have something to do with them at some point? Maybe not.
I don't think so.
Is it just Ubisoft?
That's Ubisoft. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Crytek is having some financial woes, but they're kind of masking it right now, saying that they're just going through some corporate restructuring.
I thought they got bought out, didn't they, by someone?
News to me. I don't
like Crytek, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
They were a little too like freaking full of themselves. Like,
yeah. They've always been
the first
uppity.
Crysis looked great, and the second one looked average. The third one, you guys suck. You know, like I get the Cry 3 engine, or they were going to Cry 4. I forgot which one it was, but they were essentially just trying to compete with an already established engine, the Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, you know.
Well, their reps are claiming that they're moving towards digital distribution instead of retail distribution, so that's why they're cutting a lot of people.
Oh.
I've heard rumors that like a lot of the workers there hadn't even gotten paychecks.
Yeah, I saw it too. They hadn't gotten paid, and they're like, you know what? They just walked out, as far as I know.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Hopefully, for the workers, maybe we don't like the company, but for those video game designers that are working there, yeah, they can either find a job elsewhere if it's not working. Hopefully they just don't lose their job, like we've seen so many people.
Flat out just, all right, you're done.
Yeah.
That would suck.
If it's a jumping ship, just jump off, guys. Jumping ship? Did I say it's a jumping ship?
Yeah, jumping ship.
I think the term is sinking ship. Hopefully, the ship didn't sprout a pair of legs.
Depends on what you're playing. You could be playing Zelda.
Yeah. If it's jumping, you might want to stay on the ship just to see where it goes. Gamescom is happening this week. Definitely, maybe we'll do a show on that next time, or do a full review over that,
complete with trailers.
It's funny if it's not. And this sounds so arrogant, so American arrogant, but like if it didn't happen here, I'm like, it's over in Germany. It doesn't matter.
I honestly didn't even know what was going on this week until people were like, live from Gamescom. I was like, oh yeah, whoops.
Live from Chipotle. Same thing to us. I don't know. PlayStation 4 is killing it. Are the facts that are in right now? More than 10 million units sold and in homes right now.
I think we're all aware of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
easily within the past 7 months, they've been the highest selling console, the PS4. So
it's kind of like honestly speaking, it's just think about it. It's the exact same tactic last generation that Microsoft used. Sony's using on them. It's a cheaper console when it first came out.
Yeah.
It's a cheaper console that launched earlier. Regardless of how earlier it launched earlier and was made available sooner. So obviously people just wanted to get their foot in the current gen now door.
So you don't think this is like a long-term effect on the industry? You think this is more just they're good out of the gate and it'll even itself out?
Well, that's kind of not what happened with PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. If they continue to sweeten the deal, so to speak, Sony will win this generation.
Well, if they keep up their strong lineups and
keep
offering the same thing that Xbox has but better, which we'll get into later.
I mean, like the biggest thing right now is that anything that is a console on multiple consoles seems to run better on PlayStation.
That's what I keep hearing.
Yeah, I've actually witnessed it. And a lot of times I have to convince my friend who just got back from overseas is still like into Xbox, which, I'm not going to knock him for. He flat out said, hey, I'm a fanboy. Hey, there's some games on PlayStation you might just want to get on or some multi-platform games you might just want to get on PlayStation, just because you don't have to deal with frame rate issues, not have to worry about none of that malarkey. And I'm on it. So of course you want to play.
Yeah, you got to play with this guy.
Yeah, right.
Speaking about Xbox, they're revamping their UI. Should be out October, November.
I am not familiar with this.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not either.
You mean like just as far as like their setup for their dashboard?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, I didn't really hate their dashboard on the Xbox One. Like I was like, hey, I have no problem with it. It's kind of reminiscent of the Xbox 360s, but it's got more information on each page. But I mean, if they're revamping it, fine, whatever.
Hopefully that helps their sales. That's all I can say.
Launching probably with a new console with it.
Yeah. Some lighthearted news right here. Goat Simulator, almost 1 million in sales. They used to make I forgot what the company's name is, and that's my bad. I should have put that on there. But they used to make like hardcore tower defense games. And they released this, and Goat Simulator is their highest selling game of all time.
I heard they spent $30 on the what is it called, the was it Liberties, the when you buy like something that's been made by someone else, whatever they bought
the copyright rights or the
sort of, yeah, they just bought the goat for $30. and they're like,
Jerry,
it's the best investment ever.
Jerry the goat.
Yeah,
he came up with his goat lawyers, and they had their suitcases
full of grass.
Yeah, they opened them up.
In the grass.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then next thing you know, we have a game that is literally about a goat and nothing else. Almost 1 million sales.
You know what my review would be for the game Goat Simulator?
What?
It's bad.
Get off the show.
It's bad.
That is terrible.
The game Life is Strange.
I didn't see
it. Got announced recently. Probably Gamescom. It's on all the major consoles. It's by Square Enix, developed by Don't Nod.
Don't Nod.
This
so don't
game...
approve. Shake your head in defiance.
Yep. This game is like a time traveling game made by Square Enix that they're pretty big on. It's like an artsy kind of game, I guess.
That's neat.
Problem is it's made by Square Enix, who I'm not a big fan of their track record lately.
I'm a fan of them.
You think so?
The main reason why I'm still a fan of them is because, well, honestly, they have Final Fantasy 14 to thank. If it wasn't for fixing Final Fantasy 14, I'd probably be on the same boat.
Gotcha, I forgot you like that game. I like it too. I'll give them that. They did a good job with that. Everything else, Final Fantasy 13 especially, just how if you want to know like a how-to course on throwing away your games and your series
franchise.
and just taking your franchise and taking a huge shit on it. Look at 13. It is just a mess of a game, and I can't believe people still defend it. It's just the worst thing I've ever seen.
It's basic as Final Fantasies go. So.
Resident Evil TV series has been announced. It's still very early, so it might not even happen, but I thought I'd throw it out there.
Might not even happen.
Made by Arclay, who I've never heard of, and whatever.
I think they might be talking about the mountains, the Arclay Mountains.
Oh, okay, that is something in Resident Evil.
Yeah, that's where the first one takes place, in the mansion.
And it's being produced by Mance Media.
Or maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
And it will be a detective show.
Oh my gosh. Okay. What is it with detective shows now?
Yeah.
They're doing what, Gotham, right? The detective show about Commissioner Gordon before.
Is that on the CW?
I don't know. Product placement?
If it's on the CW, it's going to be stupid.
Well, I heard Arrow wasn't too bad, and that's on the CW.
Well,
that's a different subject.
If you're a huge fan of models, male models, not wearing shirts for the entire show, yeah, producer loves it.
You agree?
He gets
wholeheartedly.
He gets his rocks off to those attractive guys.
Well, I heard he does his own stuff, so I can respect a guy that does that.
All right, yeah,
He's
but
pretty big on parkour.
When I think of CW, I think of a bunch of models who can't act, just make it a terrible show.
I think of Smallville, and that's it. And I'm just like, wasn't a big fan.
Yeah, so, honestly, if they make a good show, fine, but I hope it's not CW. I hope it's something a little more serious.
I just don't know how. It's a detective show. Okay, fine. How are they going to make it to where the viewer's like, anything at all? Because it's going to point to zombies.
Yeah.
Oh, why? He's got bite marks. Zombies.
Yeah.
Oh, he's bleeding and you went into the sewers. Zombies.
I never thought about that.
What else is going to be?
It's going to be the whole time they're going to be like, what are the whole first season is just them like looking at people's eaten corpses.
Right.
They're like, what happened here? And it's called Resident Evil Arclay, and every fan already knows what the hell it is.
And the thing, it's so stupid. It's going to be reminiscent of the original Resident Evil intro. It's going to be like, victims were apparently eaten. It's like the stupidest voice acting ever. Yeah. That's what it's going to be. That's who you're playing as. That guy in particular. Well, no, that's Chris narrating. But you're going to play the guy talking about, or you're going to see from his perspective, that guy. Mm-hmm. And it's going to suck. Because, again, what else would it be? It's like, what man would do this? It's not a man. It's a zombie. Like, duh.
I will watch the show. I will watch your TV show.
Oh my gosh.
Under certain conditions.
I'll watch it drunk.
Well, yeah, I will be drunk.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, that goes without saying. But I will watch the show if everybody walks like they do in Resident Evil 1. They walk like their hands at their sides, and then when they see something, like somebody from off screen will point, look at that door, and then the person will walk over and then turn, and then walk towards the door, and then if they go up the stairs, that's my second thing. If they go upstairs, it has to be a cutscene of them going upstairs. They have to like awkwardly like hop up each stair like this, and then awkwardly hop up the rest of it.
They might actually make an ode to that, like they'll have like the camera facing downward or something.
I sure hope so. I would love it if it was really dramatic and then they have them walking.
I just can't expect to be anything but disappointed by it, just because if it were more like actiony, okay, fine, make it more Walking Dead-ish. That's fine, but whatever.
Judge makes a ruling on the NCAA. College students must be compensated for their appearance in video games. For the longest time, they were saying they shouldn't, because it's like, I don't even know if this counts. I really don't know the logistics of this, but they weren't supposed to be able to make money off of being an athlete or something like that.
Unless they were doing professional.
Right. So EA, I guess, had their thing where they're putting them in games and then not paying them for it. And the judge ruled that the NCAA is required to. They're supposed to pay them. EA is supposed to pay them for their participation.
That's interesting.
And it's coming out to about $1,000 per person.
What's up with that, EA?
Yeah, so EA is evaluating their college franchises at this point.
Yeah, evaluating means oh shit.
If they cancel, they didn't release one. I'm to understand. I don't follow sports at all, so I don't. This is all news to me.
Sports games or just sports in general?
Sports in general, sports games especially, because I see them as you paying for a jersey update. But I'm not gonna. I don't need to start flaming more on sports games. People like them, and that's great.
Don't hate us. Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting.
Honestly speaking, I didn't know they actually weren't getting paid, but that's kind of, if you think about it, EA's been hustling them for a minute.
Yeah.
How long has NCAA been out? And not even them. Like, is it just NCAA?
Well, I'm assuming this is going to be reaching out to all the colleges and all the games. So I think you got football, basketball. I'm sure there's excellent college lacrosse games that come out.
Right? EA. Totally.
Why isn't there a lacrosse game? Aren't there?
Maybe.
That's probably the most exciting sport there is.
Probably. But it wouldn't, maybe not EA. It's just, they'll go for anything that has a market.
Yeah.
Honestly speaking. That's why Battlefield's there. That's why freaking, what? Did they do? Yeah, they did Street. Right?
Yeah, NBA Street.
NBA Street.
Those are actually classics.
Fun. Yeah, but I mean, come on. Who did it appeal to? Anyway, so we have
me and my urban friends.
Oh my God. Me and my homies.
Yeah.
All of the homies.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's just that's kind of a low thing for EA to do. I don't care if you're cutting costs. Like that is their likeness.
Mm-hmm.
And
So, yeah.
I mean, I'm happy that now they're actually going to be able to get paid, though.
Well,
maybe.
Assuming EA decides to make the game.
Right? They're like,
because that's a lot of money.
we'll just get one star player.
Yeah. Well, would it really be so bad to have an NCAA game and everyone's name is like John? I was going to say John Adams, but I don't think a game about presidents playing football would be that exciting.
You never know, actually. There might be a market for that. Get George Washington.
Potential mashup.
You know, it's not even called a football. It's called the Constitution.
Yeah.
That's what you throw.
Yeah. Throw the Bill of Rights. And it goes for a touchdown.
Oh, man.
And we're going to take a little break right now.
Right.
Well, this will be an insert to... I'll put a top story thing, because believe it or not, after drinking this entire thing of QT, peach tea.
P, he said. QTP.
QTP. Q5. Yeah, I have to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to go do that real quick.
All right.
Oh, my God, I've been holding it in.
You're like, stop! On to the next topic!
Okay. Come on. So if I use
Yeah. Actually, I think the
Our top story today is console exclusivity. It's a topic I've talked about a lot with a lot of people, and I'm going to say a lot one more time. Just throw it in there. But it kind of came to a head this week, and you actually texted it to me before I even heard about it. A little game called Tomb Raider is now a Microsoft exclusive. I think we have different opinions on this topic. My biggest complaint with the new console generation was that none of the consoles had their own IPs, and Sony has a couple of them, none that are great except for The Last of Us, which is a remake anyway. But
Hey, Infamous.
Is that good?
It's amazing. Not even fanboying. It's a good game.
But either way, my big struggle with the current console generation was that nobody was having the balls to create a console exclusive. And now I hear this, and I am excited. What about you?
Well, the thing is, for clarification, It's a timed exclusive. It's not a complete.
Oh, okay.
Microsoft, the story that they gave us anyway, was that Microsoft goes ahead and goes, hey, we're going to purchase a time slot in which we will own exclusively Tomb Raider to help sell consoles. Now, I wouldn't really call Tomb Raider, the franchise, even the reboot, really a console-selling machine.
Nope.
I'd leave that more to the Halos, your, Last of Us 2s,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But pretty much what ends up happening is how it's marketed via Gamescom is Tomb Raider exclusively on Xbox and Xbox 360 coming holiday 2015. Now, Rise of the Tomb Raider is, for those who don't know, is the reboot, the sequel to the reboot of the original 2013, I believe, 2013, one of those, Tomb Raider.
That series has been rebooted like 3 times now? Twice now? This was the second one. Because I know it was rebooted for the PlayStation 2, right?
They kind of, I think it was Last Revelations, like, that they wanted to, like, do something different. I lost track of them after that. I played the first 3 I played the first one on Sega Saturn. I played the second one on PlayStation. And the third one on PlayStation. And that was it. And then Last Revelations I had on PC. And after that, I was just like, ugh, Tomb Raider.
Right.
But pretty much what happens is they market it and they go, only on Xbox 360. Bam, 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 right? Here's the problem with that, based off of what I just said. Tomb Raider was originally a PlayStation Sony deal. It is always, for the most part, until I think Revelations, I think, was released on PlayStation 2. I could be wrong.
Well, except for the first game.
Well, the first one was released on on PlayStation.
Right, but also
on Sega Saturn.
Sega Saturn.
So, I mean, come on, it's Sega. They're not really, God rest their soul. They're not really with us right now.
Sega's like, we're not dead yet.
Yeah, right? Yeah, well, release my Fantasy Star and we won't have a problem. Anyway, so pretty much they do that and everyone's up in arms. In my opinion, rightly so, because, hey, you just stepped on the guys that helped make your career and now you're going straight to Microsoft the next day. Microsoft, I forget his name, clarifies, a rep from Microsoft. I believe the guy actually, like the CEO of like the European like Microsoft branch goes, hey, we didn't buy them. We only bought a time slot. We don't own them. The game is still coming to Xbox or to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3.
How much later?
We don't know.
But it'll be irrelevant by the time.
Well, see, to be perfectly honest with you, like I said, it's not a console selling franchise, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
The problem is that when they announced it, Crystal Dynamics, representatives from Crystal Dynamics, who's directly involved with Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Square Enix, who now owns the rights to Tomb Raider, flat out were interviewed multiple times, and even Microsoft reps were interviewed multiple times throughout the rest of the day for Gamescom. Every single time noting it's a Xbox exclusive. That's the problem. The whole point was they were trying to show that, hey, Microsoft has something, but in doing so, they essentially lied to their fan base. That's why, I am a little mad at Square Enix for that, because that's bullshit.
Yeah.
They flat out lied.
Well, because, I mean, we're a console seller for somebody who has awful taste in video games. But let's say that somebody did just like, oh my god, Tomb Raider, I have to buy the console that Tomb Raider comes out on. He would have bought it if he had already had a PS4. He would have then bought an Xbox One.
Yeah, theoretically.
And then like 6 months later, he's like, oh, it's coming out for the PS4?
It's like, oh, well, shit. Yeah. That's the thing. And a lot of people, I would want to even say that a lot of even Microsoft fanboys were a little like, what the fuck? Like, not mad, but just like, what? Because it was essentially a blatant lie. You shouldn't, especially if you're trying to sell a product, you never want to lie. You don't want to kill that your consumers' trust in you. And that's effectively what Microsoft did. They still haven't even recovered from E3. That's why they're not. That's one of the reasons why they're not selling that well.
What happened at E3?
Pretty much, they priced it at $100 more than the PlayStation 4.
Oh, right.
They had essentially the Xbox TV before it was the actual Xbox One, really.
Mm-hmm.
An actual gaming console. It was more about like TV and sports and stuff like that, which I have no problem with. But the thing is, you are marketing to the wrong demographic if you're doing that. You're at E3, everyone's expecting a game from you or a console from you, and you're giving a cable box.
Yeah.
At the time. But trying to add more features now and all that stuff, whatever. They're damage controlling, sure, but it's kind of like before that though. They thought they were on top of the world.
Well, what do you think? What do you think about this? Would you be up in arms if Call of Duty, for whatever reason, said we're only making it for the Xbox 360? What if that happened?
What, for past gen? Or you mean like 360 and Xbox One?
Sorry, Xbox One.
I was like, whatever.
My head.
Sink your own ship.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not the biggest like Call of Duty fan. Like, I'm more of a Battlefield fan. So
okay.
I mean, I'll use the same example for Battlefield. You're screwing yourself over. I'll say the same thing that Tomb Raider's doing, because one. In a previous article, we already talked about the fact that PlayStation is still outselling. Mm-hmm. You want, especially for a new IP as young as this one is, you want to expand the demographic, the fan base. You want to get more people involved in the game by turning it into a game that's a timed exclusive that comes out late next year, which for a time we don't even know what everything's going to be like. We don't know, hey, is this game going to be, is it going to be just what Xbox needs? It's what Xbox needs now, but they're planning it for later. Mm-hmm. And that's what I don't get. Getting it as a timed exclusive just hurts the consumer more than anything, and does eventually hurt Square Enix. But the thing about it is that's kind of interesting that I didn't look at until I read a couple articles and watched a few videos on the same issue, was, and it was a standpoint I couldn't even think of. Timed exclusives, you got to understand, Microsoft is buying essentially Tomb Raider for a while. Costs a lot of money.
Right.
In that sense, they are able to save money in their regard and make more risks for a game. In their game, maybe there's a new feature that they're not sure if people are going to like, but they still want to give it a shot.
Right.
And that's the ingenuity of the gaming industry that people don't see, is that's why a lot of indie games that deserve, like Shovel Knight, for instance, Rogue Legacy and stuff like that, stuff that should be on every console are like limited, and that's something, or they have a feature that it's like the game is based around that feature, but it's only like on Steam or something like that. And the thing about those games is that they're great, they're interesting, but the problem that we run into is no one wants. You can't pitch that to like more, I won't call them corporate, but you can't pitch that to more well-known game designing or publishing companies without them being aware of the risk of said game and being like, I don't know if we want to invest in this, because everyone just wants to make money in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, even indie developers to some extent still do want to make money, but they also want to get out a product that they love. And that's why when you look at your Call of Duties, for instance, that's what represents what's wrong with the gaming industry, where you can literally repackage a majority. There are differences in the Call of Duties, but you can repackage a majority of the game.
Call of Duty.
Hit a nerve. You can repackage a majority of the Call of Duty experience and resell it, and people are still going to buy it. And that's Activision's like, really? Like, I can guarantee you, they were like, hey Bob, sales are up from last year, and they're like, really? Yeah, you serious?
We haven't done anything.
And that's why if you look at World at War, for instance, that's the reason why they have not revisited World War II, because that did not.
Well,
besides zombies, it didn't really.
I'm glad they haven't revisited World War II. I'm tired of.
I yearn for it.
I'm tired of Normandy.
Right? How many times can I?
I've stormed it.
Yeah.
It's
but back to Tomb Raider. That's the only bright side to it. Minus that, they lied, and essentially they shook their own fan base And it's ironic because after I read that, I got a little email from Square Enix, and they're like, "Oh, buy our new Tomb Raider game," which was like a different like Tomb Raider or something like that. I'm like, "What? What? No!" Like, I'm not gonna buy stuff from you now. You guys fucked up. I'm not a fanboy. I'm never a fanboy. I'm a fan of games. Like, I love Microsoft just like I love Sony, but at the same time, yeah, I did grow up playing PlayStation.
Right.
But I have an Xbox actually in my car right now.
Xbox.
Oh,
the original
Xbox. Yeah,
Yeah,
I got that and a copy of Shaolin Monks, man. You know, that's the drinking game. You just play around and throw people at each other. Anyway,
Right.
but I will say, like, this was a terrible move. They did a very bad job, and now they're going to have to deal with trying to do more damage control. Not just them, they brought Square Enix in on it. The Square Enix part that cares about, like, the more mainstream Square Enix part, that isn't maybe well-versed in, like, other games that they have and stuff like that, is going to hate them now. Or at least be skeptical about their game. And the timing is wrong, too. I don't understand why you would even buy that or buy the rights to that game, and it's coming out 2015, late 2015, might as well be 2016. And you're like, oh, it's going to be a timed exclusive. Well, what's that going to do for you? It's not a console seller already.
Yeah. And well, now that everyone knows that it's not exclusive, it just lost, like, I'm sure a lot of the luster.
Yeah, like, people, and that's the thing, like, people, they call it trolling, will just to spite freaking Microsoft be like, oh, I think I'll just wait for the PlayStation. Just to piss them off.
I would, absolutely.
Like, that's the thing.
The uproar that I kept hearing about, though, was that people were mad that it was leaving Sony for Xbox. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, I actually was in agreement with that, because that's literally like, I don't know if you remember, Gears of War was actually bought. The actual IP was bought by Microsoft, so it couldn't go to Sony.
Good.
Yeah, right. And that's the same thing with Halo and whatever. Those things get bought to stay with a company, you know, as an exclusive. But imagine you're Uncharted going to Xbox 360 or Xbox One.
Well, that's the thing. I'm all for these companies trying to, if we can, if Uncharted and The Last of Us, because you know all the same stuff.
Yeah.
If they got bought out by Microsoft and brought over to them, so they could only make it for the Xbox One or whatever, that to me says that they've got a lot of money. And they deserve it, because it was, you know, obviously their games are fantastic.
In some cases. Not that Tomb Raider sucks. Tomb Raider is a very good game.
I've heard it was very polished, very, very good.
Yeah, it was. And it was a typical experience. The story wasn't crazy, but it was polished.
But that tells me that this company, Microsoft, is so big on them that they will pay them more than they were already getting. And they're really going to push for them to release some games. And I think that's how the industry stirs itself.
I see from that standpoint, and I completely understand you on that. I just don't see it in the sense of that they're thinking about them, that Microsoft is thinking about, you know, the consumer, or thinking about Crystal Dynamics. Mm-hmm. They're thinking about themselves and the longevity of their console.
Yeah,
that's the way I see it more. Like, that's why they bought them out.
Definitely with the lying part. They are just, that's horrible. I didn't know that.
Also, if you look at timeline-wise, Uncharted will probably be released around then.
I would take Uncharted over Tomb Raider.
I would too. I mean, Nathan Drake will always have a place in my heart. Him and Sully. And Elena. But seriously, it's just all of those things coming together. They've pretty much just told people, like, what exactly their plans are. They're using it as something to combat Uncharted, potentially, but they're also using it as something to sell consoles. But the only problem with that is Tomb Raider was good, but it was not a console seller. A console selling game would have to be something that literally, usually is something that's multiplayer, because you always want to play with others. Multiplayer has a interesting dynamic to it, whatever it may be. I mean, a lot of times it's really shooters. Right. Lately, nowadays, it's shooters. But
it sounds like they're trying to mix it up with these 1 versus 4 games that seem to be coming out in droves.
Yeah, they like to do that weird, awkward 5-player game now. It's kind of weird.
Should be an interesting concept.
Yeah. But it's really not the best move that Microsoft could have done, and I completely feel like they have a better chance just creating their own IP.
Absolutely. Just create something new. That Halo. Ugh.
I mean, I'm gonna get Halo just because I care about the story more than anything.
Is that 343 Studios? Is that who's making it?
Yeah, they're doing it now.
Man.
I wasn't really a fan of Halo 4 multiplayer-wise because Halo 4 had to get patched a lot more than I remember Halo getting patched.
Yeah, rushed.
And it was just, a lot of it was just really like, because I like to use, you played it, right?
Halo 4?
Yeah,
that was
4.
the one with the, if you played in the multiplayer part of it, it was like a lot of bonuses, like a lot of power-ups and stuff that you had to get. And like you could go invisible or you could do...
Yeah, like you had the ability to do it.
Yeah, and then create a big barrier shield or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the one. Yeah, that had to have been the one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure like you could get that vision and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I used the light rifle all the time because I was like, no one else uses the light rifle. Like, this is great. I want to use a weapon that no one else uses, and I get used to it and stuff like that. Well, the light rifle pretty much sucked. You usually lost most battles up front.
Like, why do I keep losing?
Yeah, right. And it gave away your position too. But I used it for so long, and then they finally patched, and I was like, fine. I can take some more people joining the army. And literally, I think a majority of the people shifted. Like the first 2 weeks that it was out, first 3 weeks it was out, everyone was using the light rifle because it did so much damage.
Yeah.
And people weren't using the AR anymore. More people were using the BR and the DMR. DMR everyone was using from the get-go, but more people started using the BR, but a lot of people started using the light rifle. And I just felt like what they were going for, they just kind of killed, which was variety. Like, hey, let's make, these different rifles and these different loadouts and stuff. So I ended up dropping it. But anyway, back to what we were actually talking about. Was Halo's a console seller. Last of Us is a console seller. Fucking Zelda.
Oh, yeah.
Mario.
Those games aren't going anywhere.
Any one of their original IPs for Nintendo are console sellers. Any Mario Party, any freaking Mario Kart. Mario Kart is a console seller.
Yep, sold over 1 million already.
Tomb Raider is not a console seller. It's a good game, but it is not in any way, shape, or form a console seller.
No.
And that's the thing I don't like about Microsoft. I can say for an absolute fact, Sony beats Microsoft on exclusives. Their exclusives are more well done, and they're more creative. Instead of just being, hey, let's just make it about just shooting a bunch of guys. Uncharted, yes, you shoot a bunch of guys. Oh, cool. But it's also about the Indiana Jones feel and, going back. And Halo does have its good moments, too. Halo 3 was amazing. I loved it, for an example. But it just doesn't seem to have games that can compete as far as exclusives. Microsoft, the main reason why they won the last console war was their functionality.
You think they won?
Yeah.
You sure?
The last one, yeah. Xbox 360 versus PlayStation 3.
Oh, versus PlayStation 3?
Yeah, not this one. Come on, man.
Well, if we're talking last console generation.
And the one before that was PlayStation. PlayStation 2 beat Xbox.
PlayStation 2 won. I don't think either of those companies won the last console
You
war.
think the Wii did?
I do.
Where's that button?
If you want this, if we're talking sales figures,
okay, I don't mean necessarily sales figures for the most part, because if you look at it now, yeah, even I have a Wii.
Yeah, they geniusly found that market and they switched.
Yeah, but the thing is, they didn't get out. Different story for a different time. I just feel, okay, we can agree to disagree, but for the sake of the they solidified their place in the previous console war by playing on functionality. They had parties that you could jump in and talk to your friends, because people like to talk to each other when they play video games, even if they're not playing the same game. They had, they made it easier to jump in and out of someone else's world, or not world. Well, yeah, multiplayer and all that stuff. That's where they were marketed towards. Meanwhile, Sony was like, you can use a Bluetooth for your mic. They were behind. And they understood that, and they caught up, and they literally did the exact same thing Microsoft did, and now they're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
for this generation, and you can't say Wii U is even doing good this generation. They have their console selling games, but
The Wii U is suffering, but it's about to. I think it's about to jump up. I think it is.
for what?
They had a drought of games, but their IPs are about to shoot up.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
promise you.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
Mario Kart just came out. Smash Bros is about to come out
Well, yeah, Smash Bros comes out end of the year. The DS one.
October 3rd.
Yeah. The DS one comes out here.
October 3rd?
No, the DS one comes out here in a little bit. Yeah, right? In a little bit. Yeah, the DS one comes out here shortly, and then the actual Wii U one comes out later in the year. But, yeah, that is a good one. I'm just waiting for another Metroid. What the hell?
I probably won't get that.
Right? Like, what the hell?
Retro
like,
Studios.
I mean, Team Ninja didn't really do a good job with...
that's what I heard. The other M, right? I heard that was just a disaster.
Was it Team Ninja or just Tecmo Koei?
Team Ninja? Because
It was Team
it was
Ninja?
the one guy that got fired. Like,
Oh, freaking pervert. Yeah.
yeah, Pervert had terrible acne that he covered up with like long hair.
Pervert, terrible acne son. Yeah, that guy was...
But anyway, it's definitely something that we can all look forward to. I've been supporting console exclusivity for the longest time, and
Oh, and Bayonetta.
Bayonetta 2, the girl with the glasses and the hair.
Which I still think is bullshit, but okay. Whatever.
But anyway, I'm Spencer.
And I'm Justin.
This has been The Itch. Thanks for watching.